guys, hope everyone's doing well. My name's Annie and I'm the Green Witch. Today I'm going to be continuing my series on all things Wicca and witchcraft, honing in on the witchcraft side of things with a video on the different kinds of witches. There are far more than the ones I'm going to be discussing today, but I wanted to give you an overview of some of the most common witches out there. So I'm assuming you've come to that point in your life where you're all, witchcraft? Sounds pretty amazing. And this video is kind of a way to understand a little bit more about the different subsets of witches within the huge realm that is witchcraft. I have a lot of videos on a lot of different things revolving around Wicca and witchcraft, so if you want to check that out, be sure to check out my channel. But anyways, let's just start to get into this. Before I start, I do want to say that if you're just kind of starting out with witchcraft right now, it's not super important to label yourself. Prior to labeling yourself, you need to figure out what things interest you the most, what energies you are drawn to, and what things make sense to you. Because all of these things will go into your workings, and that's what truly labels who you are as a witch, not just hearing a name and being like, oh, that's really cool, that's who I want to be. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. You can hear a name and be intrigued by it and want to go look further into that. You need to listen to yourself and your heart and work with what feels right, and if that fits into a subset, there you go. But it's not the first step in becoming a witch. Personally, it took me 5 years before I felt comfortable labeling myself as a green witch. But I do think that you can come to that a lot quicker than I did. I do think it's something that is good to learn about, and it opens up a lot of viewpoints that you may not have already seen. If you find a path that you resonate with, you don't have to follow that the rest of your life. Witchcraft is ever evolving, and therefore you're gonna evolve with it. And if your path doesn't change, I'd be surprised. Some people do stay on their path their entire lives, but not all do. It's very personal and it's up to you. And lastly, before I jump in, I do want to say that there is a distinction between Wicca and witchcraft. I know I've said this before, but maybe if you haven't seen any of my videos, I would like to stress it again. Wicca is a religion. You can be Wiccan and a witch. You can be just Wiccan. You can be just a witch. It's really up to you. You can follow any religion you please or none at all. And I will be labeling some specific witches that do follow certain religions, but not a lot, because really that side of it is very personal and up to you. Witchcraft is a very personal path, and all you need to worry about is what feels right to you, nothing else. Kitchen witches are some of my favorite kinds of witches, and probably the kind of witch I will become later on in my life. They create and pursue most of their magic within their homes, and more specifically within their kitchens. A kitchen witch works with practical magic. They focus on cooking and brewing natural cures for everyday ailments and situations. Often they work with environmental energies from herbs, oils, flowers, etc. These herbs are often gathered from their own gardens that they've cultivated with a lot of their magic and intention going into them. They tend to focus their energies on others to help them, and typically they gain a lot of respect from doing this. They are healers and caretakers and are well practiced in making their homes a sacred place. A kitchen witch often incorporates their spell work into their cooking, putting their intentions and energies into all the food and meals that they make, often selecting ingredients because of their correspondences and alchemic components. They set their intention with every stir of their spoon or cut of their knife. Their magical tools are usually made out of utensils and tools found in the house. These items can be carved with sigils or blessed with intentions from their magic. They may even incorporate their practices within all aspects of their home. They may clean their houses with herbal washes to purify and to protect, or decorate their homes with sigils and things that are meant for protection. Many of their rituals revolve around their home and the people that they care for. Now moving on to the second kind of witch we're talking about today, a hedge witch. This is a very nature-based form of witchcraft with elements of shamanism, astral projection, and herbalism incorporated. The word hedge refers to the boundary between people and spirits. They work within this boundary, which is both physical and metaphysical. They often work as mediums between spirits and people, as they have the ability to jump between both worlds and communicate. They focus their magic on working in the liminal plane and, well, working with spirits in general. Hedge witches typically work with astral projection and understand a great deal about herbalism. They practice a lot of divination and communication from the other side, as this is kind of their trademark. And the majority of hedge witches are solitary and rather eclectic, honestly. But what truly makes them a hedge witch is their ability to cross over the hedge from our world to the spirit world, and not all of us can do that. Moving forward with the third type of witch I'm going to be talking about today, a cosmic witch. These witches work primarily with astrology and astronomy, working celestial magic into their practices. A cosmic witch's preferred form of divination typically aligns with the planets, whether that be all-encompassing, like working with astrology, or more specific. Say a witch feels really connected to a specific planet. They may choose to work in forms of divination that correlate to the elements within said planet. Their spell work often relies on the alignment of the planets, the moon, the sun, and the stars. Some people who focus on this kind of witchcraft only work with the 7 classic planets of our solar system, which includes the sun and the moon, but others also include Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto as well. They may also incorporate comets or meteors or anything of the sort in their practices. But this isn't to say that they are limited to using only celestial bodies in their practices. They may still choose to work with herbs or crystals or oils or anything on the natural plane here. But they tend to focus on more of the planetary relations in all of these different components than anything else. Some of the witches that I've talked about before tend to feel a little more connected to the natural world and things that they can see and feel here. But cosmic witches are more connected to celestial bodies, and that's where they feel most of their magic holds power. Now onto a green witch, or well, the kind of witch I personally identify as. This witchcraft is deeply focused on the earth, nature, and the elements. They work with the magic of ancient cultures and folk religions, as well as the understandings of magic within all of nature. We use trees, plants, herbs, etc. for their medicinal and magical properties. Green witches are extremely in tune with nature and work best when they're near anything like plants, herbs, nature. You get the point. Many of us have our own gardens where we study and grow herbs and things that we feel deeply connected to and work with a lot in our practices. The majority of magical tools are crafted out of natural materials, and the witch may even create it themselves. Often a green witch is a skilled herbalist and has a deep understanding of both the medicinal and magical properties of herbs. They see all natural spaces as sacred and work really hard to protect them, as this is where most of their spell work takes place. Many choose to follow an earth-based spirituality, while some may tangle religion into that, or some may just follow nothing. It's really up to the witch themselves, as it's a very personal thing. A sea witch has extremely strong ties to bodies of water, and specifically, the ocean. Some feel more connected to rivers or lakes, depending on their geographical locations. In this case, their names may change a little to something like a river witch or a water witch. Their magic often focuses around, well, water, and things that correlate to that, like shells, sand, seaweed, driftwood, etc. Many of their tools come from the ocean or are symbolic of it. They often do their spell work and rituals near the ocean or with items that correlate to it. Some choose to follow a deity or two or work with just water spirits, and some choose to follow nothing of the sort. They just work with the energies that surround the water systems and what feels right to them. Typically, they are well educated on the creatures that live in the ocean and the creatures that rely on the ocean, and the life cycles that ensue. Truly, they are just witches that are deeply drawn to the ocean and choose to work with the energies that surround it because it's what resonates with them. An elemental witch bases their practices around the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. Typically, they have specific altars for each element around their home. They can be very knowledgeable of astrological signs and how that ties into the elements. And much like a cosmic witch, they may choose to work with herbs and crystals and natural elements of the sort, but they focus a little more on the elements that encompass those than anything else. They may choose to work with elementals or spirits of nature or just the energies that encompass it. A solitary witch, much like the name suggests, is somebody who chooses to practice alone. This is often tied into many of the other witchcraft practices that I've already detailed. For example, I'm a solitary green witch, meaning I don't work within a coven. I've chosen to work alone, but not all do. Often people start out as a solitary witch and then move into a coven, or maybe they started out in a coven and want to move on to a solitary practice, or maybe they've just been solitary their whole lives and that's what they want. It's really up to the witch, as it's a very personal and individualized path. Now, some witches choose to incorporate more of their religious beliefs into their practices. Many who follow specific traditions within Wicca will follow that tradition in their practices in witchcraft. These include Gardnerian, Alexandrian, and Dianic witches, plus many more. They work the majority of their practices within the teachings of their tradition, and many have initiations or requirements they must reach prior to working magic. I probably have to say that an eclectic witch is one of the more common forms of witchcraft nowadays. These witches blend various traditions to create their own unique understanding. They may even choose to incorporate workings and beliefs that they've come to entirely on their own. This is a very individualized form of witchcraft that is tailored to the specific abilities and opinions of the witch themselves. An eclectic witch is typically very adaptable and open to new understandings of working. It's very important to understand that they don't have a set religion or tradition or belief system that they follow, because it's something that they pick and choose to make their own path that's entirely unique to them. Some work religion into their practices, others don't. Some focus tons on herbalism, while others focus more on celestial bodies, and some focus really deeply on both. It's very individualized and personal to them, and their paths can evolve dramatically over time. Now, this isn't to say that the other paths don't allow for that. You can identify as any witch and still incorporate aspects that are typically seen in other paths into all of your workings. There isn't a rule book. Witchcraft is a very personalized path, and you should never feel restricted. So even if you do choose to label yourself, that doesn't mean you can't practice other forms. And really, you don't even have to identify as any of these forms of witches. It's completely up to you. Especially because there are more than just these few that I've detailed. You can go out and look and see and research and grow your knowledge. If there's anything out there that fits with you better, go for it. But hey, let me know what type of witch you are in the comments down below. I'm very curious. And as always, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and maybe learned a little something new. If you have any questions whatsoever, please comment them and I will do my best to answer them. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Here's my kitchen. Before Pratchett.